All right, I want to talk a little bit about some things that I find hot with the new league. Let's take a look at the stances first. Let's look at stances in conjunction with the Ascendant. So we are the Ascendant. Let's grab the Saboteur and the Champion. Now, the Saboteur is going to give you 15% cooldown recovery rate. Everything else on top of it, extremely nice. Increased area effect, 15% chance to deal 50% more area damage, and blind. All of those are really good for like a melee class. Really good for other things too, but specifically what I got stuck in my head is Cyclone with Shockwave using a mace or a staff. So let's path down into this way. Let's assume we're using staffs for this one. You go down to this node here, and for this node, we have another 30% cooldown reduction for stances. You get Onslaught when you have a stance, and then you can go into here, and you can get Adrenaline. Adrenaline whenever you switch stances, and you can put your stance on a left click, so you don't have to do it, and you're getting, what's that, 45% cooldown reduction on 2 seconds. So it's going to be like a second and a half for your stance cooldown, and Adrenaline lasts 1 second. And if you really wanted to, you could also pimp your way up to this to increase skill effect duration. And I'm not sure if that applies to Adrenaline. If it doesn't, then you just ignore that. I have no way of knowing whether that applies to Adrenaline without testing it out. I'm not going to test it out just yet because I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this regardless of whether this works or not. But you can increase skill effect duration, and you might be able to get permanent Adrenaline with that stance combo. Now, there's another aspect over here with the stances, if you want to go even more stance love, where 50% increased mana reservation for stances, and then increase attack damage while in blood stance, and then reduce efficiency. Now, this isn't that hot. Now, if you're already in the area, maybe. And if you're going to pop in blood and sand and flesh and stone, maybe that's worth it. I think flesh and stone is 25%, and then you can put like gems in there. So that might be worth it, but I'm not sure. For now, the hotness for the stances are here. Now, the hotness for the cooldown, it's a little hotter for the Saboteur Scion for me, simply because I don't typically use elemental damage. Elemental damage has a bunch of things that need to happen. When I do elemental damage, I almost always go Inquisitor, so I just ignore resistance. I don't got to worry about pin. I don't got to worry about trying to squeeze in elemental equilibrium or Trinity or none of that. But if we're taking a look at the new Saboteur, a lot of people are talking about cast on crit or cast while channeling. All that is hot. All that is hot shit. This is the basic setup here. I don't know what trigger bots do at all. They'll release it later. Maybe trigger bots are cool. And if trigger bots are cool, I don't need to go down this route. But this route gives you 40 crit multi, 80 crit chance against shocked. Basically, you have to ignite, shock, and chill. And then you get all these effects. So you have to hit with all three. Now, this would be hot on an aura situation. You can get Herald of Fire for physical to fire as extra fire. Then you can do Hatred as physical to extra ice. And then you can use the physical to lightning gem to convert some of your physical to lightning. And you're going to be doing all of those. Or you can use that new prismatic support, which I don't know what that does just yet. We got to wait for the gems to be released. And that might do all three for you. And if that does all three for you, this could be hot. And then you just convert all of your physical damage to elemental damage. And you're going to be getting all of these benefits extremely hot. Everything else also hot. But I mostly want to talk about this cooldown recovery rate. Shockwave and Cyclone. So you have a 1 second cooldown for Shockwave. And if this reduces it to 0.7 seconds, that's essentially a 30% more multiplier on Shockwave. And Shockwave is by far one of my favorite skills. You do Cyclone, you do Shockwave. One of the problems is the best way to do, well, the only way to do Shockwave is using maces or staves. And the maces and staff nodes are very far away. So staff nodes for way up here for these ones, they're really good. You can slam all those up, and then you get these bad boys right here. And if you get crazy, you can come over here and get these if that's really what you want to do. But it's a lot of points to get there. So in order to make that worth it, you probably also want to try to hit up some power charges like this. And then you got another power charge here, so you're getting a lot of crit going. And that kind of thing. It's very interesting. I might set it up that way to do a Cyclone, Shockwave, Saboteur, but I don't believe that's going to be a very strong starter. Now we'll go into what will be a very strong starter. The claws. The claws have gotten some upgrades. Let's start out with the poison claw setup. Everything is really condensed and tight for the damage for the poison claw setup. Right here, every one of these is so good. I could literally get all of them if there was enough claw nodes. Inherent attack bonus from dual wielding is doubled. 2 claws, double your attack speed, or double your bonus for dual wielding attack speeds. Extremely strong. Path up this way. Obviously, we're using claws, so we want this elusive effect. Go up here and get this claw. And let's also get the elusive effect on that one. Pimp over this way. Get the... I don't know what stealth does just yet, but 10% leached is instant per equipped claw. So that's 20% instant leech. Bam. Pop on this one, and you get another 10% instant leech. Bam. That's 30% of your leech is instant. Extremely strong. That's going to be ridiculously powerful for survivability. And those are the claw nodes. And then you want to get a little bit more. You can path down over here. Obviously, I'm letting it auto pass, so this is how I would do it. And then this one, 60% increased damage with claws against enemies that are on low life. That is very strong. And it's going to ramp up towards the end of the damage, which kind of sucks for poison because you're already ramping up towards the end of the damage. But either way, that is extremely strong. And then you can look at the other 2 nodes. There's no more claw nodes, so I can't grab them. I can't increase the mastery any further than this. But gain 25 life per enemy hit with main hand, and then 25 mana with offhand. Extremely strong. Well, more quality of life. Very good quality of life. And then the stealth, if that's good, that's high quality of life. So you can do a double claw poison build. Rocking the perfect agony. Pathing this way. And right here is your basic setup. From here, you kind of customize it however you want. Obviously, you want to go here and possibly there. Remove this guy. It's going to be very strong. Now, you can also path into here. Attacks fire additional projectiles. Now, you can use one of my all-time favorite skills that's weak as hell. And that is Cobra Lash. But I really like the mechanics of Cobra Lash. So if you get enough power, you can do some Cobra Lash for some mapping. It's going to be very smooth with this extra projectile. Very strong. You could also be a cuck and do Spectral Helix or Venom Gyre. Meta cuck up. Or you can go to bows. And you can get this bow nodes here, which are pretty strong. And then grab this one. Bows fire an additional arrow. If you want to go bows, then you're firing 2 additional arrows, which can be pretty attractive, pretty hot, pretty sexy, pretty pimpin'. So claws, very hot. Bows are going to be very hot because of these extra projectiles. Cooldowns are hot. Now I want to talk about impales. Impales can be pretty hot for a couple of reasons. One of those reasons is this top impale node here. Let's just path to it so it highlights. 10% chance on hitting an enemy for all impales on that enemy to last an additional hit. So if you're a champion and you have 6, and then you get the node that will get you additional, you have 7. You have a 10% chance to just stack on another 7 impales. That could be very strong. Very, very strong. But if you're thinking outside the box just a little bit, it's not that far outside the box because it says it kind of right on the name. You can go into this, is it the attack node? Yes, this attack node here. And in the attack node, you have this 10% more maximum physical damage, which is also very excellent. But you also have this sleeper, 6% to damage over time multiplier for bleeding per impale on an enemy. So if you're doing any type of a bleed build and you spend probably an extra 6 points, you can just splash impale right on that bleed node for basically free. And if you're impaling 5, that is a 30% multiplier for bleeding. If you're impaling 7, obviously, that's more, 42%. Now, a 42% bleeding multiplier is extremely strong. For example, you just get 6 for here, and you get 15 here. It's stronger than this entire path node for just this one thing. And impale and bleed, they don't often synergize perfectly with each other, but they do synergize well enough that if you incorporate impale and bleed, this bleed is going to be popping off as well as your impale. So that is also extremely hot. Another thing I want to talk about that I find hot is in this armory mastery. Being able to get this additional 1% maximum resistances if equipped helmet, body armor, gloves, and boots all have armor can be extremely strong. I've always liked this node. It's just always been a little too weak in comparison to this node, which gives you the 2. But I like the armor. I like the all res. This does 30% increased armor plus 150 armor, 1 to maximum all res, and then you don't have to awkwardly path up into here, because a lot of times you're left with an awkward pathing tree. Let's say you're building axes and you want to get this axe here. You're kind of, it's a little bit awkward. You can go this way right here and not take these nodes, but then you kind of also want those nodes to come up this way, so you can do this. It just feels awkward to me in its positioning. So to be able to cut out this part here entirely if you want to and not go up here to get these middle nodes feels good. It feels good. It feels good to be able to cut that out and to still be able to get this to all res. And if you really wanted to, you can also be over here for some reason and be getting 1 here. So you're getting a 3 total. Slam that with brass dome or something crazy like that. It can work out real nice for you. Another hot node is this one. 15% increase maximum life if there are no life modifiers on equipped body armor. We all know which body armor that's going to be, and that's a pretty good little buff. Now, I feel that this one is a trap. 10% more life if you have at least 6 life masteries. So that means you're going to have to get all of these life masteries. And to get all these life masteries to work for you, going to be a bit of a trap. This full life one counteracts with the low life one pretty heavily. So one of these is basically going to be a dead node for you. Either the low life is going to be a dead node or the full life is going to be a dead node. Now you can get around that a little bit if you're playing a champion. Duelist champion, and you're using this node here, but you're not abusing adrenaline. You're just letting adrenaline pop naturally. Then you can kind of benefit from all 6 of these nodes. Just a little bit of benefit from all 6 of these nodes. That could be pretty strong. But for the most part, I do believe this is a trap. This is bait. 10% more life if you have at least 6 life masteries. I believe it's bait unless you got a very specific build that's going to be able to capitalize on these bottom 3. These bottom 3 can really screw you over. And then also this one is a dead node if you have a life modifier on your body armor, which is a lot of people. This would be strong for Inquisitors who want to use an ES body armor with no life on it. That's pretty strong for Inquisitors because I add that life. But I think this life mastery is bait. B-A-T. Bait. We don't need that I. Let's not talk about it. What I'm planning on doing for my League starter, I have no clue. I think the claw nodes are so strong that I might get pigeonholed into doing claws. But then we also have the new Ranger Pathfinder, which has some pretty solid poison nodes. This Wither is going to be quite strong. And I've always loved the idea of a shockwave poison pathfinder and being able to take those giant shockwave poisons and applying them to other enemies with the potential of doing 100% more damage with a shockwave poison. It could be pretty strong. Or you can just do the regular poison stuff, and it's also going to be pretty strong. And with this increased effect of withered by 50%, if you manage to get 15 withers, man, that is going to be 12% increased. Well, 50% probably makes it 9% increased chaos damage taken when inflicted by wither. There's great Death's Oath build potential there. That new amulet that's out, I don't want to pop it open, but you guys all know what I'm talking about. Poison damage or chaos damage over time heals you instead of hurts you. You can throw the golden rule on as a slayer, or you can even do it as an ascendant. Dun, dun, dun. I think ascendant has the overleach. Scion, ascendant, slayer, overleach. Life leech effects are not removed when unreserved life is filled. Now, for the Slayer, I know it's a 10 seconds overleach, and I think that 10-second overleach will allow you to use the golden rule, which is applying poison, and you can pair that up with frenzy charges and the snakebite gloves, just so you get that 6% chance to poison with the multiplier, and snakebite gloves are just kind of good all around if you don't mind the reduction in frenzy charge duration. If you have a way to get frenzy charges on the reg, that's totally fine. It is going to give you a ton of sustain, but I'm not sure exactly how valuable that sustain is going to be, or how much they're going to nerf the regen rate for the amount of poison you have. I have a feeling it's bait. I have a feeling that amulet's bait for the chaos damage regening your life, because when you have life leech, there's limiters on how much life you can leech based on your life leech rate and your regeneration rates. So I imagine when you're being damaged with poison, it's going to have some type of limiter, because you can do massive poison damage to yourself that's going to heal you faster than any enemy can kill you. So as long as you have a big enough life pool and solid enough defenses to take one-shots, that's going to be absolutely nutty. Absolutely nutty if they don't limit how much chaos damage over time can heal you. So I believe they're going to be limiting that. Let's see. Another hot, very hot aspect. Let's go Scion. Let's go Scion with the Saboteur with that 15% cooldown recovery rate. You can actually do some really cool guard stuffs. Guard skills, increased duration, we don't really care about. Is this one a guard one as well? No. We can go down here towards the bottom and hit this guard node here. Now, these probably aren't used very often, but you get guard skills have 20% cooldown recovery rate, 20% cooldown recovery rate, plus an additional 15 from the Scion passive. Now, if you went with the Saboteur and you made it all the way down here, it could get pretty nutty, because the Saboteur is going to be 30, 20, 20 for a 70% increased cooldown recovery rate of guard skills. You can be on guard skills for so much of the gameplay. It'll be pretty nutty. Pretty nutty. And then if you're on guard skills for the gameplay and you pair it up with something like Wind Dancer, pretty good little defensive layer. People might actually be taking this right here. And then with it, you can get the +1. So if you didn't want to go up there, you can get it there. I think that was something I wanted to talk about in this one. Oh, yeah, this one, the bleed immunity. I really just hate bleed. I hate the mechanic bleed. Getting bleed immunity on a mastery is spectacular. I don't really mind poison so much. You can manage poison very well, but bleed, you always got to have a bleed flask, or you got to be bleed immune in some way. It's pretty annoying. And being able to get this early game, it's going to be pretty slick. So I think those are mostly the hot things. I could talk about the new fire node for Ignite, but I'm not very good with Ignite. I am not an Ignite expert. But let's just go ahead for the giggles. Let's grab this Marauder. Let's do a Chieftain. Just grab the basic nodes here. And let's do a little Chieftain Shockwave Ignite. We can either do Shockwave Ignite, or we can do any other kind of ignite, but let's just run through a shockwave ignite situation with Cyclone. So you're rocking your Cyclone. Your Cyclone, only purpose to have Cyclone is to trigger this ability here. 50% chance to refresh ignite duration on critical strike. So you get this, you pair it with this node here. Come on, click it up. 10% more maximum physical attack damage. Then you pair that with a Losses Coil, which also gives you more maximum physical attack damage. And you pair that with the new U-Tools Mace, so you can be doing bone shockwaves. Or you pair that with the Mace of Unpronounceable Names, the very high damage, low attack speed mace. And the Cyclone is going to be triggering the Fire Mastery to refresh your highest damage ignite on critical strike. One of the problems with this is getting a high enough critical strike chance to the point where you're basically critting every time, or at least 50% of your hits are crits. So that way you're keeping your highest damage ignite on at all times. And with the increase to maximum physical damage being like, it's going to be like 50% increased, more maximum damage. You could probably get up to 50% if you get a really well rolled Rough Losses Coil and then juice it up on top of this 10% here. You're going to be getting some really big ignites, but I'm not sure the ignites you'll be getting from Shockwave are going to be as good as ignites you would get from something like Burning Arrow or Fireball or anything like that. So I'm probably not going to do that because I'm not an ignite expert. I've never really played a very good ignite build. I've played some ignite builds, but I've never made one that is impressive. So I've never made an impressive ignite build. But being able to refresh your ignites, there's something hot there. I know there's something hot there. Probably not going to mess with it at League launch. It could be pretty cool. Another class that could really amplify them ignites is going to be the Witch. You go to the Witch, you take that Elementalist right here, this bad boy here. Hits always ignite. All damage can ignite. 25% more damage with ignite. If your highest damage type is fire, you get that bad boy, and then you somehow finagle a physical damage build with a Witch, and you get those more physical damage multipliers with the Rough Losses Coil and your attack nodes. And we got a new attack node over here, which is pretty close. And you can get this, is it attack node? No, it's the Fist node. That's the physical node. Fisty nodes in order to get that more physical damage. So you need something to convert your physical to fire and pop over this way to get your closest Fisty. Right there. I think that's the closest Fisty to Mr. Wizard here. Mr. Witch. And with that, all of your hits are going to be igniting. And if you're doing the Shockwave Cyclone, you don't need to do Shockwave Cyclone. You can literally do any fire spell you want because every fire spell is going to ignite. Not fire spells, fire attack. And getting that more multiplier. Eventually you're going to hit an ignite that is at near the maximum band of your 50% more maximum damage, and that's just going to be a thick and juicy ignite. Now, you can avoid a lot of that and just do, I don't know, something like Vol Flame Blast. When you hit the Vol Flame Blast, I think it hits multiple times, and one of those is going to be a big boy ignite. I don't know. Either way, that seems pretty hot. So out of all the things I saw, those are what piqued my interest. Those are the things that I found hot. Pretty excited for the new league. It's looking good. I love the nerfs to speed jackasses. For us basic bitches who clear the axe in like 6 to 7 hours, it's going to be so much better that they're slowing down the people that can do it in 4. Because then they're not going to get to maps 4 hours sooner than me and get all that currency, mess with the market, be able to get everyone into maps at a much similar speed, which is going to be pretty great. However, with this bad boy here, I think they broke it. This, getting adrenaline, basically permanent adrenaline, is going to give you 25% increased movement speed. It's going to be nutty. I pretty sure they're going to nerf this. It seems too strong. This just seems too damn strong. But maybe they won't nerf it because they want melee to be strong again. Or maybe they don't want melee to be strong again. But this is going to be really good for melee. Extremely good for melee. And since it's positioned down here by the duelist, I'm pretty sure I'm going to start a duelist. A duelist or a raider. There's some pretty good options for a raider. Pretty good option for a duelist. Will be a little difficult to get the new Saboteur all the way down here and be able to maintain enough damage with all these travel nodes that you won't be using. Either way, it's going to be really good. Pretty excited. Check you later.